Man, get up here in the ZoLoft to get your head right.
What's up, sinner? Welcome to the ZoLoft. I want to run something by you. Hell ain't a nice place to go. Nope. Now, I know that seems like it would be pretty needless to say, but considering how a lot of folks treat it like it's not really something to be concerned with, well, it seems like a reminder now and then wouldn't be a bad thing. And I ain't condemning anyone here neither. Just giving a heads up. It ain't like I'm saying you're gonna burn. I'm just saying it might not be such a good idea to stick a bottle rocket in your butt and try to shoot it off. You can get burned. See the difference between warning and condemnation? Ah, don't listen to Zoe. Shooting bottle rockets out of your butt is the coolest. Your friends will worship you, and you'll get way more views on YouTube than Zoe gets for his stupid videos. Shut up, Demo. Anyway, I think a pretty good indicator that a hell ain't a cool place to go, no pun intended, would be that God himself came to us as Jesus Christ to take a beating on our behalf and get crucified just so we wouldn't have to go. That tells me that hell must suck pretty bad. But listen, the ultimate destination apart from God is the lake of fire reserved for the devil and his angels. Humans who reject the account of Jesus Christ will ultimately have the same final destination. And what will make hell the worst place you can go will be among these. For starters, let's do away with the idea that hell is what you make it. Hell ain't what you make it. Because that would mean that you could enjoy some kind of control while you're in hell. No one has the pleasure of having any control when in hell. The only control you have is whether you choose to go there by choosing to reject the biblical account of Jesus Christ. So no, you don't make your own hell. You can only make the decision to go. You think you lose control over your life by giving it up to Jesus Christ? You literally burn up control of your life in hell. So no, hell won't be what you make it. You can't make hell the way you want, Demo. Now, one of the things people so desperately cling to is control over their lives. Yet, ironically, so many of these same people are so quick to give it away. Like lefties, who are so quick to give our power over to the state because they want the state to have control over the people and make the state force other people to abide by the desires of the former. People throw away their control when they get drunk and high. Man, I remember back in the day, I would hang around with cats who would consume ridiculous amounts of drugs and alcohol. Put it in their system any way they can get it in. And they would consume all this junk just to show that they can handle it and be in control of the experience. They would get out of control just so they could show that no matter how high they were still in control and could handle their high. That's how stupid a lot of people can be about control. So in hell, you don't even get to enjoy having control to lose. You will have forfeited the pleasure of having any control at all. Hell is not what you make it. You can only make the decision to make your bed there. And we know how much it sucks when you're laying in bed and you're trying to go to sleep, but you can't. Interestingly enough, the Lord calls death sleep. But in hell, you're beyond death and can't die. No sleep, ever. So like I said, no control in hell. That would be some kind of pleasure. There is no pleasure in hell. Hell will be another thing that really sucks. It's something that people are generally afraid of. Being lonely. I'm so lonely. Now, people like occasional solitude from time to time, some more than others, but nobody likes to be lonely. I know you feel pretty lonely with them low views you get on YouTube, Zoe. Where'd all your viewers go, Zoe? Shut up. One of the greatest fears people have is being utterly alone. You can see it a lot of time with couples. They'll make each other miserable, but they'd rather stay with each other and make each other miserable than let each other go, because they don't want to be lonely. And feel the effects of an even greater loneliness by them being with someone else. In hell is to be utterly alone, not even tormentors for company. Everyone there, including demons, will be too preoccupied with their own suffering. Most likely, the only sounds that you will hear will be your own screams and the gnashing of your teeth. You won't even hear the wailings of another's agony to keep you company. It is very true that misery loves company. And too many people try to legislate the equal sharing of misery, because they're wired to make everybody else as miserable as they are. You either know somebody like that or you are like that and you're hating everything I'm saying right now. Because you're miserable. But you don't have to be. You can turn that frowny upside downy. Gay? You're gay. Anyway, in hell, you will not even have the pleasure of sharing even your misery. Abandonment issues and separation anxiety can really suck. So the utter loneliness of being separated from God, the author of life, is unfathomable. Jesus done shown on the cross that being separated from God is pretty dang lonely. Now, one of the things that people hate the most are lies. Even though too many people gravitate towards liars and lies and hate truth tellers and truth. They just see truth tellers as bigots, sexists, and homophobes. But they don't know lies from truth. They don't even seek truth. They're motivated to prove something is a lie. But despite their relentless search to call something a lie and the opportunity to call someone else a liar, they think they hate lies. Kind of ironic, ain't it? What's even more ironic is that hell is a place where they have to live with the fact that they fell for a lie. The lie that says that the biblical account of Jesus is false. And even though they hate lies, they got to live with the lie they told themselves forever. Now, when it comes to dying, generally a few things that people are afraid of dying of is being burned alive, drowning, or plummeting. So falling into a fiery abyss, I reckon, would be a real pants wetter. The abysmal lake of fire is all of that, along with being a place where you have no control, where it's also roaring, and you gotta live with what you hate, a lie, what you fell for. It's a bottomless lake, which means that the person who goes there will experience sinking and drowning for all eternity. A lot of you lefty heathens don't even like the idea of somebody being waterboarded, even if it was Steven Crowder getting waterboarded, because you don't want him to make you look like more of a sissy than you already are. Well, eternally sinking and drowning in an abysmal lake of fire will be much worse than that. Oh, and did I happen to mention that it is a lake of fire? The Christ rejecter will be submerged in a lake of fire. You don't know if you're gonna get to tread on the surface or try to dog paddle. No, it's more like you get dunked and stay dunked. Submerged in a lake of fire, getting every square inch of that body burned from the inside out. And these people do not cease to exist. Do not fall for this idea that God is too merciful for this. He is merciful. But it's not his fault if somebody rejects his mercy. Many have the wrong idea of mercy. And actually, it is out of mercy that God reserved hell for those who reject him. People still do, but if it wasn't for the fear of the consequence of hell, people would still commit horrible crimes against each other with far less reservation. And the more people are suckered into believing there is no God and salvation through his son Jesus Christ, who saves from hell, the worse people treat each other and the more violent and debauched the world gets. But even that deterrent can only last so long before it starts losing its effects, as people fall for Jesus not being the key to salvation. Also, out of mercy, if ceasing to exist were the real deal after death, do you realize how many people would commit suicide? Do you realize how much murder and suicide there would be if the most scrutinized book in history told us that unrepentant sinners would just cease to exist after death? Out of mercy, one of the reasons why we don't have as many suicides as we could is because of the fear of an eternity in hell. If the Bible told us that we would just cease to exist after death, who would be afraid of ceasing to exist compared to the pain they're already in? They would be happy to take the option to just simply not exist anymore. A lot of them feel like they don't exist in a way that matters to them anyway. It is a horrible and cruel thing to lead anybody who is suicidal to think that they will just cease to exist. You only embolden them to end it. That's not mercy. The fear of hell is an example of God's mercy. The reluctancy for them to just end it might be the chance they need to call on Christ to restore their life. The unrepentant sinner does not cease to exist. Don't die for that lie. And some would still ask, why would God make hell? Why would a person choose hell? That's a better question. But people do. People commit crimes, knowing it can get them thrown in prison, and they're gonna get raped. Some are repeat offenders, unrepentant. Is it the law's fault that these people did this? The law said, don't do it. They did it anyway. Do you blame the law that they gotta go to jail for their crimes? So why would you blame God? There's even some Christians who don't believe that a person can or will burn in hell forever, like they get time served or let out on good behavior. Y'all be careful with that candy-coated Christianity here. Yes, a person can and will burn in the lake of fire forever. If God can speak to Moses through a burning bush that doesn't burn away despite being engulfed in flames, then yes, an unrepentant sinner can suffer in flames eternally without being burned away. Y'all, if you reject Christ, don't expect him to make special accommodations for you. And nobody else can. Nobody else has. And surely you can't do it either. Jesus proved that he actually can. And you still reject it. Why should he let you into his house? Not that you wanted to be in his house, but don't be mad and surprised that you don't get led into his house, but you're led to the other place. You didn't want to have anything to do with him. And he will not force you to live in his kingdom. Let's use the earth as a picture of his kingdom. The earth has an atmosphere that protects you from the freezing vacuum of space and the incinerating effects of the sun. If you reject God and his kingdom, he's not going to force you to live in his kingdom. He'll leave you to your decision to take your chances with the effects of space and the radiation of the sunshine. It's like people who hate America but want to stay here and screw it up for other people. God ain't going to allow that in heaven. You can't bring your misery and resentment into heaven and infect other people with it. It wouldn't be heaven. God's just going to give you a one-way ticket that leads out of heaven. But no other eternal place exists except ultimately the lake of fire. And I hope you stick around for another video where I hope to examine what the lake of fire is. Right now we're kind of talking about what the lake of fire does and why you don't want to go there. Remember, y'all, you don't get to go to a hell of your own choosing. And you don't get to go to a heaven or a paradisical afterlife that you can make up. Because you or I will ruin that so-called heaven for ourselves and others. Atheists try to say that heaven is just some place that we make up. We can't make up heaven. We'd screw it up, which counters itself, meaning that it wouldn't be heaven. So it's impossible for us to make heaven or make up heaven. Even in our wildest imaginations, none of us can even think up a perfect place. Eventually, any of us would find a flaw with our own creation. And surely somebody else would find a flaw with someone else's creation, which means it's not a perfect place. So anybody who even tries to say that we just make heaven up is already fooling themselves. None of us can actually even think up heaven. You'd actually have to be able to think up a perfect place. None of us can actually do that. Thanks again for hanging out with me in the ZoLoft, y'all. Be sure to share with your friends, family, or even people who get on your nerves. Because remember, y'all, when you share and support my work, a little bit of leftism dies. Gee, I wonder where it goes, Demo. Shooting bottle rockets out of your butt is the coolest.